So just quickly, we'll talk a little bit about landscape maintenance districts. I'll show you what's going on. This is going to answer a question that somebody asked also earlier about the median district. In the landscape maintenance districts, there are 55 separate districts. Just like we talked about in the drainage benefit assessment areas, they're all being managed with one engineer's report and managed on the bottom line. For the fund balance from 14-15, the fund balance starts out at $23 million. There's a lot of money in this district. $23 million more than they used. At the end of 14-15, it was projected to have only $15 million. So they were spending some money. And remember, when we talked about these reports are done at the beginning of the year. They're projections of the year. No one really tells you what got accomplished or didn't get accomplished in the next year's report. It just starts it again, does the same thing. But the one thing it did say, and I thought was interesting, someone was asking about taking out turf and where the money was going to come from, et cetera, et cetera. At the beginning of this 14-15 period, the 2001 Landscape Maintenance District had a balance of $577,000 and was projected at the end of this reporting period to have a deficit of $2.4 million. So they're planning to spend $3 million. They were planning to spend $3 million this year. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But here again, where does that $2.4 million come from? It comes from the other districts. And it begs the same question. Is that proper? Is that the proper thing to do? And we'll just have to wait and see as we go through things. In the landscape maintenance districts, we had some questions. You know, I think it's interesting. We have a city, and the city has a contracts office, must have a contracts office. Everybody that does contracting has a contracts office. And so they hire landscape companies because, you know, they contract us out to go do the work. And then, lo and behold, they hire another set of companies to maintain, to inspect the landscape maintenance that's being done. So let me see now. I got a maintenance guy that writes a contract to landscapers to do the work, and then I got a guy that writes a contract to other people to inspect the work, and then maybe that's not good enough. So if you were at the last city council meeting, you would have saw they wrote another contract to an auditor to go make sure that everybody else was doing what they were supposed to be doing as well. So we started investigating these four. These four contracts were authorized in December of 2014, and I tried looking these guys up, and went online and said, gee, who is Brian Smith Consulting? And couldn't find him. And so I found a couple. I found one of them, but I thought, who are these? So I put in a public records request, and I said, because it listed the contract numbers, so I said, send me the contracts. I want to see the contracts. I'd like to see the RFP, the statement of work, and the contracts. And they sent me some of it. There's a little bit of it left to come. But I found out that this first guy here, Byron Smith, has been collecting money since 2009, inspecting the work that the other people do. You would figure, by the way, wouldn't you figure that if you had all these people inspecting what everybody else was doing, all the landscaping would be perfect? Right. Okay, so then here in 2013, they picked up landscapeconsultant.com, very professional name. And they, by the way, were online. And that's Frank Madero. And then this year, they picked up two new ones. Aguila Landscaping from Jorge Aguila, and JMD Landscaping Architecture in Jeff Maxwell. Does anybody know any of these people? No, I didn't. Okay. Just coming out of the contracts, just to give you an idea, JMD Landscaping Architecture, I concentrated on just looking at the center median stuff, but these are the areas that these are the districts that he is supposed to be inspecting, and for that, this year, he'll collect $49,000. Aguila Landscaping doesn't. He's going to get $53,000, and he is going to do part of the major thoroughfare medians at a cost of $22,000 a year. And one of the things that I want to do, by the way, for these contracts were let for 18 months, not for 12. I'm only showing the 12-month data, but in 18 months, I want the County Country Advisory Committee to bid on one of these contracts. Landscapeconsultant.com, they're getting $100,000, and they got another part of the major thoroughfare medians, and they're getting for that $12,900. Interesting, huh? And Byron Smith Consulting, they got all this extra work to do, and they are getting what is that number? $321,000. And of it, they're going to get, what is that, $11,000 for median. So there's the bottom line. We're spending a lot of money on medians. You know that but we got it, right? And so now we've got all these landscaping companies out there doing work, and we got all these people inspecting them. And so when you look at the bottom line, we're spending another $500,000 to inspect work that other people are doing. Now, to me, you know, at this rate, probably at the rate necessary for inspectors, that's $500,000 a year is probably 3 full-time heads at the city, right? And you're trying to tell me that actually that 1 full-time head couldn't go around and look at this stuff? But and we're going to spend another $46,000 just on medians alone. Now, Rick and I, we went down that one area. It took us, I think, 15 minutes. Took pictures of it and said, look at all the places where where the stuff is dying, right? I don't know why I caught that, because I got all these other people that we're paying a lot of money to go do this stuff for. So on December the 9th, 2014, the City Council just says, approved, it's on the consent calendar, it's not even worth discussing. We'll just pass it on, and we'll just go ahead and do it. And the only person that said anything about it was me. I said, why are you doing this, right? So that's what they did. Now, what does the city provide to consultants? Just so that we know when we bid on this what we're going to get. Because I looked in the request for proposal and it says, you're supposed to be an expert on everything. So instead of you being an expert and you become a consultant, then they give you all the policies and all of the manuals that you're supposed to be an expert on before you bid on it. But they don't give it to you after you get the contract. So I thought that these consultants were supposed to be an expert in these areas, but I guess not. And what do they do for you? Well, here's all the things they were supposed to be doing, but basically they're supposed to be checking the irrigation, and they're supposed to be checking for dead plants, and they're supposed to be checking if frost has killed something, or just a whole bunch of stuff that they're supposed to be doing. So I shouldn't have found any dead plants. Right? And they're supposed to meet bi-monthly with staff and LMD maintenance contractors. Now, I don't know whether bi-monthly means, whether that means twice a month or every 2 months, but anyway, they're supposed to be meeting with them. And they're supposed to answer questions for you. See, just right on the top there, it says homeowner complaint or questions. So if you have a homeowner complaint or question, they're supposed to, you've asked them questions, haven't you? Wait a minute, you don't know how to get a hold of them, do you? Well, what a surprise. What happens is that you just put the complaint in with the city, and then the staff forwards it to the consultant, and the consultant contacts the resident. So Rick, where's Rick? Rick here? Rick, did they contact you?
Just Kevin tonight.
Well, no. Didn't one of these guys?
No.
What a surprise. So I'm curious what they actually do. So what's next? I'm going to put in a public records request tomorrow morning, and I'm going to ask for all of the bi-monthly meeting with staff and contract, all the work products that they create. What are the minutes and and identify the service requests that they generated, and what results of the contact information with residents, and the results of the meetings with the public, because they're supposed to meet with homeowners association and the public. I'd love to get them here. And matter of fact, I'll ask. What a great idea. And then I'm going to report back to you, because you deserve to know what we're getting for the money we pay. That's what I say. Yes, sir.
I think that we have 5 city council people. We have a city manager, assistant city manager. We have people like Cruz. Why don't we just let them, when they drive around, look at the landscaping and get rid of these guys? Would save that $500,000 a year.
No. It's to me, it's not a problem with Cruz. You know, and we had that gentleman here that was he was all energetic about what he does for repairing the streets, and the working staff, I think, you know, they're trying to get their job done. And I know when Cruz was in community preservation, and I was dealing with him all the time, and he's doing a great job. But this is an issue with city management and the council, okay? Because they're the people that said, you're going to hire these guys. Why didn't they just turn around and say to the city manager and say, no, put one guy on, do this work for us, right? So, and they didn't discuss it at the council meetings. I mean, this is a thing where you got 5 people that aren't interested in this stuff. And to me, we got to get much more interested in what's going on down in the details of the city if we want things to go right. Do I got to see another hand there? No?
You better get a bodyguard.
I'm sorry.
You better get a bodyguard.
Here we go.
Al, if you run again for city council, I'd like to see you raise your right hand and say you won't change.
Oh, you got that. There's no problem with that. You don't, you know, oh no, you won't see me change, and you will see me do that. Yes, ma'am.
When you're doing all that research that you love to do, Al, I'd be interested in knowing if the principals of those 3 companies are making campaign donations to our city council members.
Yeah, that thought has crossed my mind, but until
I'd like to be their friend.
until I got
And have that contract.
Yeah, until I got the results of this. When I first saw the staff reports, I couldn't tell who they were. Now I know who they are, and I know what their address is, and I can write them letters, and I can go visit them and see if I can talk to them. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see contracted trucks saying stay green. How do they fit in this whole thing?
Well, Stay Green is a landscape contractor.
Right, but their name didn't come up in your list.
Well, you know, I would think that, you know, if I hired a landscape contractor, I would expect them to do their job. And if I went out and checked on they weren't doing their job, I'd either talk to them about it or I'd get another landscape contractor, right? Well, I don't even know why we need full-time inspectors inspecting the guys that are doing the work that we're paying them for, so we can have another group assessing whether the inspectors did the right job. Never mind.
Well, it appears if we have all these consultants and then we have inspectors inspecting their work, we don't need any city staff. What are they doing?
Oh, well, they're writing the contract. They're writing the contract. So let me give you guys a special heads up. Let me give you guys a little special heads up. By the way, I don't have any pictures to show you today, but they did replace a bunch of plants on the medians in the area that we talked about. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that again next month, because it took from February the 2nd until last week to get that done. And I don't understand how this inspection system is going to work if it takes that long. But the heads up I'm going to give you is a little bit out of the budget. And I'm sure if any of you listen to the council meetings and listen to what they talk about the budgets, I'll guarantee you didn't hear this in there. And this comes out of the budget itself in the community preservation section of their performance goals. And right in there it says, relaunch the Extreme Neighborhood Makeover. And the Extreme Neighborhood Makeover, as you all know that were involved in it, was an utter failure. And so we talked a little bit about it, and I mentioned that I didn't think it was a great idea. Mr. Boyston did the same thing, and Mr. Striplin told us that he would be getting together a group, that it would not be the same as it was before, and we'll just have to wait. But this little heads up, you'll be hearing more about it.